Sam Basil is Deputy Prime Minister in Cabinet reshuffle. Vocal Fusion winners transition from music to politics. And veteran Kumuls bid for Sepik team in Intercity Cup.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Thursday's news. Bulolo MP Sam Basil has been elevated to Deputy Prime Minister following a government reshuffle that sees 7 changes in the cabinet. David Stephen remains the Attorney General while a new portfolio has been created for energy. Bradley Valenaki reports.
Prime Minister James Marape and his new-look cabinet, but with some old faces. The reshuffle, according to Marape, is one that consolidates numbers in cabinet as well reward the coalition partners that have stood by him, bringing balance to his cabinet.
To find party balance, there needs to be a distribution of ministry that respects one ministry to be allocated to 3 ministers per party ministry sharing ratio. These 2 fine gentlemen had to vacate their spot in cabinet. That made way for the ascension of the member for Namatanai and the Honourable Walter Snowbelt, our senior serving leader of the National Alliance Party, to be conferred a space in cabinet, as well as a senior member of the URP party, the Honourable Willie Onglo, member for Kundiawa Gambok, also to be conferred a space in cabinet.
Sam Basil, leader of the United Labour Party and member for Bulolo, is the new right-hand man. Remaining still in his current portfolio as the Minister for National Planning, the power play now ends a 3-year helm of the Deputy Prime Minister seat held by 2 successive political leaders from Milne Bay. The predecessor, David Stephen, however, remains as the Chief Legal Advisor to government under his current Attorney General portfolio.
With time and with political numbers in the Honourable Sam Basil's side, he had 9 numbers with him. He led quite a substantial block. In fact, the 3 parties together presents a union of 30 members in the coalition we have. And the Honourable Sam Basil, Tema, serving both distinguishably well in the opposition and later in government, leading a good-sized young members who have a bright future ahead. He now assumes the role of Deputy Prime Minister.
William Onglo is the new Minister for Energy under a separate portfolio created to coordinate the major energy policies and aspirations. While in the mix, newcomer in the Marape lineup, Walter Snowbelt, takes over as Tourism Minister. Jelta Wong becomes the new Civil Aviation Minister. Lekwa Gure assumes the Labour and Employment Ministry, and Sepuka Temu returns to his former health portfolio. Prime Minister Marape takes over as Minister responsible for Bougainville Affairs.
I've taken back the role of Ministry of Bougainville into my care, and I will elevate to the highest, and I will give my personal attention to ensure some of my intentions for Bougainville. Whilst maintaining the sanctity of our union, national union, the highest autonomy would give them in practice of self-governance into a time where we mutually work it out into the future. I will basically reconstruct the way we deal with Bougainville and to ensure that their intention of self-governance is achieved.
This is the second reshuffle under Marape's reign. The cabinet reshuffle comes at a critical time when the country and the rest of the world is struggling to manage its affairs in light of the global COVID-19 pandemic. While this move is seen by the ruling coalition as a stabilizer to government, it's testing times for those now given the task of office to deliver.
All in all is done to hopefully try to put the best men in various jobs, giving respect to the coalition arrangements we have, stabilizing the ship. There are 1 or 2 hot airs running around saying that government will change in November. The government will come back, but there's a fine man all ready to work and serve our country out for the balance of this term. and allowing for the process of election to take place in 2022.
Bradley Valenaki, National MTV News.
And what will be a significant cost-saving benefit for the government through a public-private partnership, Bismarck Maritime Shipping Limited has put forward an offer to the Health Department. This will see free sea transport of medical supplies to all major seaports in Papua New Guinea in the next 15 months. The formalities were facilitated by Sam Basil in his capacity as National Planning Minister and Jelta Wong as Health Minister before the Cabinet reshuffle today. Annette Cora reports.
The offer extended to the Marape-Stephen government was accepted formally in a meet with the Managing Director for Bismarck Maritime Limited this morning. Noting Bismarck Maritime Limited's local ownership and leading role in the shipping industry, Bismarck Maritime was also the shipping company of choice during the COVID-19 state of emergency to address the shortage supply of fresh produce into the National Capital District through a government-funded freight subsidy scheme facilitated by the Department of National Planning and Monitoring. Residing in PNG since the 70s, it was the shipping company's managing director's recent visit to hospitals and health clinics in Leh that spelled out the daily struggles of medical supplies and equipment reaching health facilities on time.
In each case, although there were patients there was no medicine. HIV patients couldn't continue their medication. TB couldn't continue. So then I then decided that Bismarck would make an offer to ship all of the medical supplies from Port Moresby to all the ports that we service.
The agreement would be to have medical supplies delivered by Bismarck Maritime Freight free to all major seaports, including to and from Leh, Vanimo, Wewak, Medang, Basamuk, Kimbe, Rabaul, Keveng, Manus, Buka, Oro Bay, Alotau, Port Moresby and along the Fly River to Kiunga. An offer that was sealed with an acceptance by the government to begin today, the 1st of October 2020 until the 31st of December 2021. Acknowledging and accepting this offer prior to being sworn in as the Deputy Prime Minister later today at the Government House, Sam Basil states this is the type of public-private partnership initiative that the government appreciates and welcomes amidst the country's economic woes and the impact of revenue sources.
Being here today, the public-private partnership is being taken to the higher and another level with offer of free sea transport to major seaports serviced by Bismarck Shipping. We are looking forward for timely delivery of drugs, and I believe that to make this decision on behalf of Bismarck Maritime, I know it's a very hard decision because the health containers are so many being distributed toward Papua New Guinea, and you are helping national government to cut on the freight cost.
Similar sentiments were reiterated by Jelta Wong, who was the health minister this morning during this acceptance of offer before being sworn in as aviation minister later today at the Government House.
It's timely. As you know, our Prime Minister and our government has always been stressing on taking back PNG, and this time when COVID-19 came into the country, we were looking at cost-saving measures, and our budget's coming up, and we're really tightening our belts. And at this point of time, for Bismarck Maritime to come out and give us this offer, it really helps the people of Papua New Guinea.
Given that the offer begins today, the 1st of October 2020 through to the 31st of December 2021, Bismarck Maritime confirms that based on the success of the initial 15 months free shipping period, it would consider extending this free freight and logistical service beyond 2021. Annette Cora, National MTV News.
The Vocal Fusion winner for Season 2 and Battle of the Seasons, Maurice Opeti, is now a member of the Autonomous Region of Bougainville government after winning the Tuanita Tinput constituent in North Bougainville. Loyal VF fans should remember the line, "I love Buka," coined by the head judge and coach Liza Vulakora after seeing the musician perform in the Buka auditions. Maurice Opeti was sworn in on Tuesday, one of the new breed of political leaders in the Autonomous Region. He spoke to Adelaide Sirixkari on his journey to politics.
Maurice Maurice Opeti, the Bougainvillean singer who won a whopping 150,000 kina from Vocal Fusion Season 2 and Battle of the Season,
for Booker Maurice Opeti,
is now entering the political arena.
I've been time me stop processing, me stop vocal fusion, me come back, me working more some loud recordings. So time stop vocal fusion to me got plenty followers, they were behind me, and through the music too, me gaining my leadership, millennium leadership.
Opeti is sworn in on Tuesday this week in the House of Representatives after being elected to represent the people of Tawanita Tinputs in North Bougainville. Opeti, coming from a music background, joins the likes of former Deputy PM and member for Alatau Charles Abel, who had been known for his musical career in the band Wawa Nights.
I think I'm going to rest league that's all to play and what of this like give him time to a lot of money losing was missing up behind the Greek but we come back into music. No got money stopping the music.
For Maurice, he now looks forward to his journey in politics and assisting his people.
All people look him saying it's the place. Now the first 100 days to me ready to walk. Me ready to work on my community government, structure by museum and through community government.
Adelaide Siraks Kari, National, EMTV News.
The Central Provincial Lands and Physical Planning Division has successfully completed a land use survey and audits in all district townships in Central Province. The land use survey and audit will help them develop better development plans for each district. It was presented to all stakeholders today.
The land use survey and audit was conducted in all district headquarters in Central Province. The presentation today covers land survey and audit conducted in Kupiano Abau district. The presentation highlighted the importance of the land use survey and audit, methods used and the way forward. It aims to determine full utilization of the land and to ensure land is available for development.
Basically, this exercise is to determine full utilization of land, determine appropriate use, determine suitability and ensure land is released for orderly development.
The land use survey and audit program will also provide an avenue for better urban development plan for each district. Over the years, there has been no proper urban development plan for all district townships in Central Province. This has resulted in various development challenges faced in all districts. With the land use survey and audit conducted, zoning plans will be developed to help address these issues.
So hopefully after this urban land use survey zoning plans review, the new district urban development plans will be produced, which will focus on addressing these issues.
Job you have done and started off, you take it into account of what is happening on your land right now. The current changes, current activities that influences you to wake up from the chairs. Sleeping bags.
Mandatory requirements of the Lands Department was also outlined during the presentation. The provincial government was urged to establish physical planning framework to capture the economic aspirations of the province. This will help in the development of district townships.
In the absence of a town plan, people are just building any type of buildings. And the building board will also depend on the town plans. All the engineers, all the architects, they will always depend on the town planning policies, because fiscal planning is the first foremost of the land development aspect.
The presentation, which started today, will end tomorrow with survey reports from Kwikila, Berena and Sogeri. Following the presentation, discussions will be made on areas of improvement before it is presented to the Physical Planning Board for approval. Rayon Lakingu, National, EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll be back with more stories after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Waigani Committal Court will hear submissions on Bosip Kaiwi's willful murder charge on the 29th of October 2020. Police have completed investigations and handed the police files to Kaiwi's lawyers yesterday. Magistrate Tracy Ganai, when adjourning the matter, said a month is sufficient time for both the accused and the police to prepare their submissions. Kaiwi's lawyer has been ordered by the court to hand his submissions to the police prosecutions by the 15th of October 2020. The prosecution should also have their submissions prepared, and both parties should be ready to make verbal submissions on whether or not there is sufficient evidence to commit Basil Kaiwi to stand trial at the National Court. Kaiwi is accused of killing the mother of his 2 children and remains in Correctional Services custody. Hundreds gathered in Inawi Central Province for the Feast of Archangels as Catholic faithful celebrate the day around the globe. The Mass highlighted the role of Saint Michael as a guardian angel. Organizers want the celebrations to be held annually to uphold the work of churches in the Mekeo area.
Catholic faithfuls in the Mekeo area traveled up to Inawi to be part of the celebrations. In Christian terms, the Archangel Michael is the greatest of all the angels and is honored for defeating Lucifer in the war in heaven. Organizers say the event is significant for believers.
Every 29th of September each year, we celebrate the feast of 3 main archangels: Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, and Archangel Raphael. However, the feast here is of very important significance to our communities here because we have Saint Michael as the patron saint of Papua New Guinea, as well as the saint of most of our communities here in the Mekeo area.
The Feast of Archangels is an annual event practiced by the Catholic Church. It is a Christian festival observed in Western liturgical calendar, also known as the Feast of Saint Michael and All Angels.
According to the scripture, is that Saint Michael is the protector of the people of God. You can find that in Daniel chapter 10, verses 21 to 22.
Organizers want the event to be held annually. A call has been made to the office of the member for Kairuku Iri to support the church event.
A Catholic retreat center, so that from next year onwards it becomes an annual activity. So every 29th of September, all the communities from around the Mekeo area, Catholic communities from around the Mekeo area, travel up here to celebrate this feast and this occasion.
Meanwhile, a building structure built by a Catholic priest has been left alone in the area. The serving MP says the building will be completed upon completion of its costing.
For now, my commitment is I will get some engineers in, structural engineers at least, to give us a quote on how best we can rehabilitate and renovate this house here.
Jack Lopava Jr., National EMTV News.
A band of parliamentarians were recently in Kagua Erave to launch a number of impact projects in the district. The projects include a proper market facility, electrification, road upgrades and a new stadium in Southern Highlands ahead of the PNG Games. The government delegation led by National Planning Minister Sam Basil and accompanied by Works Minister Michael Nali arrived in Kagua upon invitation by sitting MP Wesley Raminai and Governor William Powie last Friday to launch projects centred on infrastructure and service delivery there. Some of the projects include reconstruction of footbridges in Southern Highlands, a proper market facility along the Hela and Southern Highlands corridor roads, and sealing of road links in Southern Highlands. The road sealing projects are to start from Kagua Station ring roads to Sumia, Sumame and onward to Mount Tawa.
Next road, maybe I launched in Logan at the same time today with Vice Minister and road from Sumami to Kerabli, Balore, Tiri, Waraga, and your Mount Towers road. And we road. But we can talk, any dream for me that be like a bush line, then no backpage line, then we go provide like a road massive.
A cheque of 5.5 million kina was handed to locally owned company Construct Oceanic Limited to commence the roadworks. Prior to his appointment as Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for National Planning and MP for Bulolo Sam Basil, in addressing the people of Southern Highlands at Kagua District Headquarters, said the Marape administration has allocated 700 million kina in its first 2020 budget for the district works program in the country.
Na mi like to thank you leadership of works minister, na Prime Minister for Yume. We play putting one important program money, only Kolimosem district works program, close to 700 million. We play putting on this budget. We play making planning something inside this budget, lo strong in work, lo look out more people. Planning me play something inside government today. We play no representing district blow town. We play representing district na province blow bush place.
Minister Basil added that every district will receive funding according to their priorities, and his department is ready to work with the Department of Works to ensure the implementation of this program under the 2021 budget to link PNG through road networks.
Inside of this budget, we play put in district road for all the district inside of Papua New Guinea. Osem na we play round all the up na we play open planning road. Me like talk here too osem works minister emirare want them department lo national planning lo mipla by continue lo funding of this road lo next year budget one time funding by mipla pushing here.
The National Planning Minister also handed over a cheque of 1 million kina to the Kagua Erave District's Treasury Office for a proper market facility to be built for local farmers. Other projects that were launched in Erave include a sports stadium for the upcoming PNG Games said to be hosted in Southern Highlands and the commissioning of an electrification project in the coming months.
We'll make sure that all IDGs, now special support grants is coming to working on work, Bamipla work Poroman, one them Hela Governor, Southern Highlands Governor, na Governor Ployumi, Tamrolo, Western Province, na Central Province, Miplaba only man na work one time so that only must give him service ago. Now people must look somewhere else. You play look out in Papua New Guinea, na Papua New Guinea, he must stand him back, now look out in you.
The number one savings and loan society is experiencing significant growth in terms of its membership base, despite a very restrictive business environment during the COVID-19 pandemic this year. As a new player in the market, number one savings and loan society is challenged to be relevant, particularly with the young workforce base. Company CEO John Solok spoke to EMTV News at the organization's AGM in Port Moresby.
The number one Savings and Loan Society is a separate legal entity in relation to Number One Super Limited, which deals with superannuation matters for public servants. However, CEO Solok clarified during the interview yesterday that private sector employees are also allowed to save with or get loans from Number One Savings and Loan Society.
In our line of business, we want to grow our membership base. Our deposit base and our loan books. We've been well placed in this current environment that we have seen a much even good performance. Like for instance, in membership growth alone, we're now running at a very high rate of acquisition, to which we should be by the end of the year achieve a 20% plus new members.
With a lot of members going into retirement, the company is looking at focusing on the young generation of employees and investing in digital services for members.
Generally, savings and loans tend to have fairly aged group of people involved, and people moving in about 10 years would be moving into retirement. But we believe the market and the future of the business is built on young people. And one of the things that one of the focus areas that we need to focus on is ensuring that we are relevant.
Tower 2 of the famously known RP Center behind me will now be known as Number One Savings and Loan Society House in the heart of Waigani's business center.
RP Center, as it is, still remains RP Center. But within RP Center complex, you have what you call Tower 2. Tower 2, so basically RP is designed into two parts, Tower 1 and Tower 2. So within the office center, the Tower 2 will be renamed and rebranded to Number 1 Savings and Loans House. And I think it's part of our objective to build strong brand visibility and awareness within the Mosby market.
Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina closed 5 points lower at $0.2940 US in the interbank market this morning. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina is buying $0.2785 US, $0.3844 Australian dollars, $0.2293 euro and 28.7 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee and copper closed higher, cocoa closed lower. Crude oil is trading lower, palm oil closed lower and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 329.04 points higher. The ASX 200 is trading at 84.1 points higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 83.9 points higher. Among stories after the break, PNG Teachers Association's call to be included in board meetings and a women's fellowship attend to street kids in the nation's capital. Stay with us for the details. Welcome back to the news. The PNG Teachers Association executives are demanding that they should be included in national and provincial education board meetings. They say there is no court order restricting them as claimed by the Department of Education. The association executives also expressed concern over risk allowances for teachers during the COVID-19 pandemic. These concerns were expressed at the National Management Committee meeting in Port Moresby.
The Papua New Guinea Teachers Association is one of the oldest union bodies in the country, currently having over 16,000 members. At its latest National Management Committee meeting this week, which is the second highest decision-making body of representatives, the PNG Teachers Association has come up with a significant document containing structure and job descriptions for all its members. Since taking office, the new executive members feel they have been treated unfairly due to issues surrounding court orders as claimed by the Teaching Service Commission and the Department of Education.
We really asking the Teaching Service Commission to open the door for our elected executives to have access to discuss and a round table to address these urgent issues for the teachers.
And over the years, for the last 20 years, they have been running the union as a family business. It is very important for the teachers to know that there was a gross mismanagement in as far as the running of the union affairs was concerned. As a result of which, in our first meeting and our second meeting, we have decided to come up with this, so that the union is run properly and is regulated by the industrial registrar, and is regulated and is audited properly, so that teachers' money are used properly for the purpose that is intended for.
With PNG's education calendar being disrupted this year, mainly due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the PNG Teachers Association is also expressing concern on behalf of its school teachers throughout the country regarding their risk allowances.
COVID-19, especially the education authorities, they're not concerned about our teachers' affairs. And teachers have been continually serving people in the classroom. So that's why PNGT is there now. They address some of these issues. Example, if other companies, people, they give their risk allowances to their workers, then Teaching Service Commission and government should look into teachers.
The association's legal advisor was present on the final day of the National Management Committee meeting to provide some clarity.
Currently, there are 7 court proceedings that are still on foot. Nothing really with the Teaching Service Commission or the Education Department. It relates to the election of the new executives and eligibility issues that has come about from conducting the elections to the declarations of the results. Okay, insofar as the work of the elected executives are concerned, currently at this stage, there is no court order stopping them from discharging their mandated function as elected leaders of the members of the Papua New Guinea Teachers Association.
Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
The Women's Fellowship of Boroko United Church in Port Moresby took to the streets of Boroko to feed children who are in need and often beg around for food and money and sometimes resort to petty crimes. After recent fundraising efforts, the women in their usual blue and white uniforms went to bus stop areas and even ditches where street kids hang around to offer them food packs and drinks with the aim of sharing the love of God.
The Women Fellowship members, mostly elderly mothers, slept over at the church before getting up early yesterday morning to prepare the food. They were on a mission which they have been preparing for over several weeks.
For the word of the Lord says in Matthew chapter 25, verse 35 to 36, it says, "When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me water. When I was a stranger, you took me in." So this word caused our heart to do this visit. And in the spiritual realm, it's like touching angels on the streets. And as the mother of this congregation, I see as a broken heart. So as we have given birth to children, the children's life are in responsibility of a mother.
We have about 40 women, but less than 35 active members in here. And with the good leadership of Sina, we have had fundraising last month and raised about 14,000 kina. And some of that money, we decided to have this to feed the children we always see near the drain at Boroko Market.
Kila Amini is a teacher by profession and so has a big heart for children.
We are very thankful to God for the support and spiritual, as you can see from the back, our theme for the church. That boosts us to carry on with this program. And we thought it's worth it, because some of these children are not well fed. Some of them, especially on the spiritual area, we just want to go show our presence to them that we do care for them.
The women went out to the streets of Boroko and delivered lunch bags and soft drinks to children and anyone who was there in need.
This type of program is in a manner of evangelism, touching lives today. This morning, this program, as we spread the love of God to the children and the people on the streets, is Christians, this is our work. It's part of our work, not to just criticize and spoil and destroy their life, but to share the love of God in our lives.
With the school year going into term 4 next week, the women's ministry is also planning to provide some refreshments for particular grades 8, 10 and 12 students who will be sitting for their national examinations. Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
And Chukai Sports is next. Kilawan is here to tell us about the Sepik bid.
That's right, Helen. The motivation by veteran rugby league players from Sepik to enter a team in next season's Intercity Cup. I'll have the details after the break.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The likes of John Wagambi, Kumul number 14, and Anol Krawanti, Kumul number 105, were the last lot of elite rugby players from the Sepik area. It's been 30 years since, and veteran Kumul Wagambi wants to revive the code back home. With support from East Sepik Governor, Wagambi and Sepik Pride Rugby League are looking to participate in the Intercity Cup 2021. The newly established Sepik Pride Rugby League says preparations are underway as chairman and veteran Kumul number 14, John Wagambi, announces their application to enter the Digicel Cup 2021.
The purpose of us entering the Digicel Cup is that the Sepik province has a population of around 600,000. We have got a lot of good young men and women who are athletes.
Requirements pertinent to Digicel Cup have been met, according to Wagambi. Of these requirements, franchises having their venues at the top of the list.
We will have Sepik Pride Incorporated underway. Our plan is to incorporate a company. We have a constitution being drafted now. And the first thing was to have the board of directors appointed.
With support from the governor of East Sepik, Wagambi looks to treat the organization as a business.
We've got very good support from our governor. He's stepped up and he's given us, we were at a briefing the other day, and then he's pumping in 500,000 kina each year for the next 3 years. And in good faith, we have a young, smart, very vibrant governor. He gave the money. We got a good response for him. We can't misuse the money to enrich ourselves.
Former Gurias player in the Digicel Cup competition from 2013 to 2015, Bradley Simon, shares the Kumul veterans' sentiments.
The reason that helped Tokimilo starting this level was to give opportunity to the boys, a lot of our talents to come through and play in the Digicel Cup. Something that has been talked about by a lot of kids. It was just a dream, but I'm seeing some light, and finally we can make those kids' dream come true. It is governor's vision to create pathway for the youths.
In a bid to be the best managed team in the Digicel Cup come 2021, Kumul number 14 envisions greater opportunities for the Sepik people and using rugby league as a tool for change.
I want to use rugby league as a tool for social development discipline and ultimately as an export commodity.
The Sepik Pride Rugby League is calling on all Sepik sons and friends to support this cause. Meanwhile, the upgrading of sporting facilities in the East Sepik province is progressing well. Pora Oval is set to open its newly built ablution block and a mini grandstand facility this month following 2 months of hard work. The Sepik Bid 2021 committee has been working to meet the requirements to qualify for the Intercity Cup competition.
Preparations to upgrade Pora Oval in Wewak began in August this year. With the funding support of 300,000 from the East Sepik provincial government, a 260-seater mini stand with a VIP corporate box was constructed along with a stand-alone ablution facility. The newly appointed chairman of Sepik Pride Rugby League, John Wagambi, says they will also build additional facilities to ensure Pora Oval becomes the franchise team's home ground. These facilities will be designed to meet PNG NRLC standards in order for Sepik Bid 2021 to be successful. The 260-seater mini stand is expected to be completed in the coming week, followed by the official opening on the 23rd of October. Yana Zoriri, Trukai Sports.
And Trukai Sports continues with basketball and tennis after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The NBA Finals could be very one-sided if today's opening game is in the indicator. The LA Lakers getting a taste of their first final series with LeBron James, although their clash with Miami began with a nod to the side's greatest championship star.
The cellist who stole the show at Kobe Bryant's February memorial, hitting all the right notes for the Lakers in their first NBA Finals since the Bryant era. In the Lakers' first finals game of the LeBron James era, he and co-star Anthony Davis led the way.
James goes inside and throws it down.
James with a classy double-double, 25 points and 13 rebounds.
And he's scowling.
Davis with a game-high 34 points, the third best performance by a finals debutant.
Finds Davis for the slam.
I just gotta go out there and be comfortable with knowing that that's the moment I waited for in my entire career.
Miami hadn't been to the finals since LeBron James left them in 2014. They squandered an early 13-point lead, then scoring machine Jimmy Butler broke down at halftime.
It has been a disaster, game one for the Miami Heat.
He made it back for the second half, but scored just 7 points to finish with 23, as LA racked up its biggest lead of 32 points before finishing with a 116-98 win.
We got so much more work to do. The job is not done, and we're not satisfied with winning one game. It's that simple.
We just got to be tougher. We got to put up more of a fight. I don't think that we did that. And then it doesn't help whenever we don't make shots.
If Miami's stars can't recover physically, experts are picking a Lakers clean sweep.
To tennis, a sound like an explosion stopped players in their tracks. A withdrawal from the world's greatest female player in claims of a fate injury. It's been a wild few hours at the French Open on a day when Serena Williams didn't take the court for her round 2 match. What happened on the court was most bizarre.
Confusion at the French Open. 2015 champion Stan Wawrinka and Dominik Koepfer, two of the many players visibly rattled by the loud bang heard around Roland Garros. The facility reportedly in a frenzy, with police officers running everywhere. Thankfully, the panic short-lived. A fighter jet quickly determined as the culprit, causing a sonic boom over the French capital. But for a time, there were fears of a repeat of the explosion heard during the 2015 football match between France and Germany. French Open players shaking it off though, play continuing. Unable to shake off her problems, Serena Williams, the tournament favourite, having to withdraw due to an Achilles injury, and at 39, prompting some to question whether this is the beginning of the end.
And I'm pretty good at it still, so until I feel that I'm not good at it, then I'll be like, oh, okay. And I'm so close to some things, I just feel like I'm almost there, so I think that's what keeps me going.
And as if all that wasn't enough, Kiki Burton's been taken off court in a wheelchair after her win in the second round had some scratching their heads, especially her opponent Sara Errani, who claimed the 5th seed was faking it.
She go out of the court with on a chair, and now she's in the locker perfect in the restaurant, so I don't like these things, I'm sorry.
Maybe I should take some more acting classes, or should pursue a career in that. I'm not sure what she's thinking.
The only normality in Paris overnight, Rafael Nadal winning again.
And Trukai Sports ends there. Helen will be back with the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Bye for now.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region only. Mostly fine tonight and tomorrow, though cloudy in Port Moresby. Mostly fine weather in Daru. Some rain showers tonight, then a cloudy morning in Kerama, Alatau and Popondetta.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Thursday the 1st of October 2020. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.